Hey guys, welcome back to the UNCOMMODiFiED podcast and to another UNCORK Conversation. Today my guest is Bo Andersson. Bo, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. My
Excellent.
pleasure.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a great conversation. Bo and I are going to chat tonight about two powerful catalysts in life and business. We're going to talk about curiosity, the power of curiosity, and the power of caring, and how these connect. And this is going to be a really interesting conversation that I know that you're going to enjoy. But before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit about Bo. We met about 4 years ago when the owner of Flomatic, the company that Bo led until 2021, introduced Bo and myself. And since then, we've continued to connect and partner through the transition of his leadership as president of Flomatic to its new president, Nick Ferrara, and into Bo's new role with the owners of Flomatic, the Beauchart Group, as a director of research and development. Now, a bit of background on Bo. Bo is originally from Sweden. He's an engineer by trade, and I'm sure he'll share some stories about that. And he and the engineering team at Flomatic over the years developed innovative water system valves and valve technology that led to the acquisition of 18 patents, with some patents still pending to be acquired. Bo served the Flomatic Corporation and its customers and the team from 1969 until 2021 when he retired. Starting as an engineer, he served them as its president from 1979 to 2021. Flomatic, just so you understand who it is, Flomatic is a global leader in the water and wastewater industry. They produce and deliver high-quality valve products and services with a high degree of environmental consciousness to the total satisfaction of their customers. They are driven by customer satisfaction and delight, that's for sure. And they've expanded their operations with a state-of-the-art production plant, research laboratory, and a product offering of high-quality valves built to last in the United States of America. Now, the Beauchart Group, who Bo now works for, was established to support the companies they own, Flomatic being one of them, to continue to enhance their position as market leaders in the water solutions industry. And this growth story spans for them multiple generations with a continuous commitment to customer service excellence. Bo is a recognized industry leader, and for many years he has served his industry. And in 2021, in October, he was the recipient of the U.S. Water System Council's first ever Industry Icon Award. So we're talking to an industry icon tonight. I like that, Bo. I think that's a good term for you. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds good. Hey, listen, every conversation, Bo, that I like to have on this series called Uncork begins with a drink. I'd love to celebrate with a drink, and you and I have shared lots of drinks over a meal over the last 4 years. So I'd like to cheers you tonight. I got a really nice beer called Innocent Gun. It's a Scotch brewed Scottish beer. What do you got to drink tonight, sir?
Well, this is the commercial interception here. This is a Heineken Double O, which happens to be my favorite beverage for the last few years. Normally in the summer, but it has zero alcohol and less than 70 calories. So it's not filling, yet the taste is there. It's a kind of an IPA flavor.
I
Very
like
good.
it. You know what? I think I'm going to go get Heineken to give. This podcast brought to you by Heineken Double O
Yeah.
and
Well,
Innocent Gun beer.
it's been a big success for them.
Oh, there you go. Well,
5% annual sales increase worldwide on this beer.
fair enough. Excellent. Well, listen, let's celebrate together
Yeah, that's
and
good.
let's get into it. So, we're going to braille into this idea of the power and potential of unusual curiosity and caring. So, Bo, I want to start the conversation here. Why is curiosity so important in life and business? From your experience in life and business, why is this idea of remaining curious so very important for life and business?
Well, that's a very good question, and it really is the thing in business today. Going back in history, of course, uh, uh, the greatest invention were developed with people with a very curious mind, from the guy who invented the flint so we can light our fire, the steam engines replacing horses, and then we have, of course, the light bulb replacing the gas lights, and the computer replacing hand cranked devices. And now, perhaps most recently, we have these self-driving cars that would pick up when the driver gets careless. But what intrigues me about curiosity perhaps most is our space program. Back 45 years ago, actually, to the year, we launched Voyager 1 and 2 into space. The first objective, main objective, was to take pictures of Saturn and Venus. And why back in 1977? Well, they had this window where they can take these pictures perfectly, and that window will only be there for 175 years. Well, the guy who headed up the program was old to start off with, so it was now or never. So they did that, and they sent back some 300,000 pictures. And as we speak, Voyager 1 and 2 are some 14.5 billion miles out there. Wherever out there means, but it's a long way out there. I subscribe to the Harvard Business Review. Are you familiar with it? Online, and also the publication. And a few years ago, there was a white paper written about curiosity in business and how underestimated that had been. And they kind of concluded that it was one of the most important performance ingredients in the successful companies. And there's thousands of examples. The Post-it note, how it was started with some little invention. People wanted to do certain things. In business, this is another thing that columnist, a business columnist in the New York Times. Pay attention to this one, listeners, because this is a heads up. So he followed 525 CEOs for a period of 10 years and figure out what was going on in their brains, how they approach things, and what drove them and what made them successful. And he came up with three things. The number one that was the most revealing or the theme that came through was what he called strategic curiosity, kind of a thing, where these executives, they looked into everything in great detail. They wanted to ask all those whys. So when there was a problem, they personally got involved in it, and you know those people. Well, there are companies where, let John take care of it, or somebody else, but they actually took care of themselves. Number two, they wanted to be line of fire. When there was an issue, they want to be right there, okay? And number three, which I think is extremely important, they cared more about doing their job based on what the job description was and the performance, the goals, and everything else, rather than worrying about promotions, the next job, and that sort of thing. And I believe those are very important traits. And the other thing, let me finish with this one-liner, because this is at my heart very dear, and that is research, which I'm doing now for the last year or so in great detail. We have a terrific lab. It's nothing but formalized curiosity. It's poking, it's praying with a purpose. So that's That's how I define it.
That's powerful, and what's interesting too, as you say that, I mean that that's really interesting. Like poking with a purpose and being curious, and research is really is all about that. And everything I suppose we do ought to have some experimentation to it. So, and I love the fact that that
Right.
article that you referred to marries the power of curiosity and this deep caring
Yeah.
that these leaders had, again, not for self-aggrandization, not for themselves, but a caring for the company's interest and for the project and for the outcome that they were
Right.
looking for at the end of the day. So when you look back over your career, and obviously it spans a tremendous amount of time and continues today, Bo, obviously at a
Yeah.
very high level, as you say, you're continuing to research, but on a personal and professional level, what what has experience taught you fundamentally on a personal level about these ideas of caring with unusual sense of passion and maintaining a level of powerful curiosity? What ultimately has this taught you about how to live and how to lead?
Yeah. Um, like I expressed in already, is that the devil is in the detail. You
Hmm.
know, and most people and company leaders, we all get the big picture. You know, we have this image we got to maintain and performance and some of the public company, they're on a 90-day review, so they have to come up with a story every 90 days.
Hmm.
Uh, but it requires a good understanding and caring
Hmm.
for the detail. Good
Interesting.
understanding, caring for the details, or your business operation and your customer's level of satisfaction on real time. You know,
Yeah.
oh, we do survey here and there, and they all feel good. We love them, they love us. Wow, do they? So it's very important because problems will pop up,
Hmm.
and how do you address all this stuff? And a lot of people don't want to face it. They want to kind of push it on to some lower level guy.
Hmm.
Let me do a little quote here on Winston Churchill that we all know.
Yep.
And he used to say the pessimist sees difficulties in every opportunity,
Huh.
while the optimist sees an opportunity in every difficulties. And this is something I subscribe to for a long time. I'm a little bit like the Maytag guy. Um, when you have a problem, you grin from ear to ear. Oh, great! I get an opportunity to do something good. And most of our advancement over the last decades or so have come from problems
Hmm.
because you have to perform. And to perform and produce, you got to go in the nitty gritty little details to really solve it and turn it into opportunity, delight customers, and sell more.
Yep. All right. And you made an interesting comment, but you just when you talk about delighting customers, is you linked in what you said earlier this deep caring and customer service. They're connected. Obviously, the more we
Yeah,
care about what we do, the more we care about the customer experience, not just again to advance our bottom line and our return on investment, but
yeah,
deeply caring for the customer's experience with our products. I mean, you're an inventor, you're an engineer, and over the
yeah,
years you've invented and you've engineered with a team of people some
yeah,
amazing things, which ultimately were done with care and consideration
yeah,
for the impact that they would have. In this case, in the water well and wastewater industry, which I think
yeah,
is not a sexy industry for a lot of people, but the reality is, without clean water coming into our homes and coming
yeah,
into our lives, and without being able to take wastewater out of our homes and our buildings,
yeah.
man, our world in North America would be fundamentally different. So,
Right.
what you do every day and what you've done every day for so long in this industry is so powerful. And again, the idea that curiosity and a deep caring for
Yeah,
people and for customers and for their experience to get clean water from the ground,
yeah,
get it up from a ground source, get it into a system. Maybe it gets purified and pumped along the way. it's a
Yeah,
fascinating journey because water has a curious journey to get to our homes.
yeah. Um, Talking about curiosity, I calculate this and I research this and that. Talking about water and wastewater. Um, New York City, of course, is the largest water and wastewater city in the country, and they have some 8.3 million people. By the way, that hasn't changed since 2012. The water consumption have actually decreased.
Interesting.
Uh, while the wastewater, I hate to get technical here, but I love it. They have 14 wastewater treatment plants, and they process about 1.3 billion gallons a day.
Wow.
And what I try to calculate is that obviously the water, most of the water comes from upstate New York through tunnels, 13-foot diameter tunnels, 45 miles long. And we actually help them with some of the valving in those situations. But what I was going to do is calculate how many BTU, because the water, if you take it to the surface, you funnel it through New York City, will increase a BTU. British thermal unit is 1 degree per pound of water, and there is about 8.3 pound of water in a gallon times 1, so that would by 8. So if you do the calculation of the BTU, if the temperature just changed 1 degree going through New York City, that's 2 railroad cars of coal to heat it.
Interesting.
So in relationship to Hudson River, I do the stupid calculations, it's about 9.8 million gallons per minute, the Hudson. So the water flowing through the city, and the Hudson goes on one side or around it, it's about 7% of the water going by there. So it does have some effect of the global warming, and I'm very interested in that. And how many cities are there along the coastline? There are a lot of damn cities. And what are they doing with water? Do you think they pump it back to where it came from? No, it goes in the ocean, at least 1 degree warmer than they got it. So,
Interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. You know what I love, Bo? I mean, I always love sitting down and chatting with you. I mean, we talk about life, we talk about our families, we talk about business, and then we get always to these curious part of the conversations where you start describing what you do and what your passion is. And this is why I asked you to come on the podcast because I love your passion. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, and you still have a tremendous passion for what you do, who you are, what you're trying to accomplish. You
yeah,
do it with such excellence and curiosity and care, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And so here's my question: as you look at all of the curiosity that you've applied to all the problems that you've dealt with over the years and the care and concern that you've tried to do that with, what are you most proud of as a personal or professional accomplishment, and why? Like, when you look back at your career and in your life, maybe you can look at it two
yeah,
different ways. What are you most proud of, and why? Because you've been applying this sense of curiosity and caring to what you do for a long time, and you've been involved in so many different
yeah,
things.
yeah,
What are some of the proudest things that you have had the opportunity to connect with and be part of?
yeah. Uh, I would say by far the most rewarding achievement, looking back 52 years and hopefully another couple of years ahead, by far is the sustaining growth opportunity and quality of life for our team of employees that I have been dealing with, or fortunate to deal with in the past. Uh, Without their dedicated uh, team effort, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Hmm.
It's that simple. So it's people, people. It's not me, me, me. It's actually all these great people that have created this monster. Uh, so our team always had a very, very clear understanding of the direction, timing, and the work that needed to be accomplished.
Hmm.
And that makes it so much simpler. And I also value, and you alluded to this earlier, value that of my active involvement in the industry organization to protect and promote and expand the market. And here again, on the detail levels, everybody could sit on these board meetings and chime in, and most 80% say nothing. But I'm actually serving on committees behind the door, between the meetings, and very few people know that. But that's what I'm proud of, and I'm not looking for a chest or a medal to pin it on, but that it's here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm proud of. It's inside, not necessarily what people know.
Mm. And you know what, Bo, I mean, first of all, I really appreciate that about you. And obviously, you've impacted. You've had the privilege of impacting so many people over the years who've come in and out of your organization. Who some come for a season and leave and they go elsewhere, and some come and they
Yep.
stay with you. You are now part of a larger group and a larger
Yep.
organization that has the same kind of care and concern for people, which I have a
Right.
lot of respect for. It's one of the reasons why I love partnering with you and others in this, in this journey now that's become part of this thing called the Beauchart Group. And full disclosure, so that people know, my listeners,
Yep.
Beauchart Group and Phlegmatic, they are clients of mine. I do work with them. But more than that, for me, the conversation for me with Bo isn't just about that business engagement. It's about that human engagement. And that's what I do appreciate about you, Bo. And I
Thank
see
you.
that, even when I go into Phlegmatic now, and obviously you're no longer the president of Phlegmatic. The presidency has
Yep.
transitioned, and you're in transitionary role out of Phlegmatic day to day. You have been
Yep.
for the last while. Now you have this role at the group, at this Beauchart Group level. But your care and concern for the people that have been part of that organization is clear to me when I come in there, and that's really impressive to me, and I love it.
Yep.
And again, it's that curiosity mixed with the
Yep.
caring, compassionate
Yep.
side. So when you think of how all these mix, like when I think of curiosity and caring, I think of words like passion and carefulness. Like, so how do you get curious enough but remain careful enough at the same time? Because at some level, these are sort of yin and yang in some ways. There's a carefulness to work you do, but then there's a curious, sort of urgent edge to it, which
Yeah.
seems to keep some balance, doesn't it?
Yeah. I found that curious people, uh, when they care deeply about some some matter, some concern, they look into it deep, and the next thing you know, they can be very passionate about
Hmm.
it, and uh, that is not common, but they are connected. Curiosity and caring.
Hmm.
Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a doctor's appointment. Um, the doctor will ask you all these probing questions. Tim, how are you feeling? And he gets rather personal because he will
Hmm.
talk about probably all the body parts in your question. And why? Because he wants to solve the issue. So he he tried to solve the the whatever symptoms you have by some corrective action because he cares. Okay.
Hmm. Interesting.
Now, you have a customer. He stopped buying from you. Well, you're very concerned about it. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to ask those probing questions like the doctor did so that you can correct the communication issue, the shipping problem, the quality problem, whatever? The truth of the matter is that most customers go bye-bye. You know why? Because they didn't think you cared.
Ah.
That's one of the number one reason customers stop by. I didn't get the attention. Uh, so, to me, it starts with a curiosity and caring for one another in business, as in your personal life.
Hmm.
Um, I
Well,
was not going to say this, but you know, in church we pray for the people obviously that are poor,
right,
and obviously for the people that are sick.
right.
But we also pray for the people that are lonely.
Hmm.
Why are they lonely? You know, for a lot of different reasons. So you don't want to go there. You want to be in the middle of it and care and have curiosity in life for other people.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. That's a good point. And again, if you're listening in today, just this conversation is a bit different than I'm having today with Bo than some of the other ones that I have, and I really love the complexity of it. Again, I would just encourage you to explore these ideas. Are you curious enough in your life, whether it's in your business life or personal life? Are you curious enough with people to ask questions and to probe into their problems or into their life a little bit? But are you curious with the balance of caring? Is caring the underpinning part of your curiosity? Because if not, I think if curiosity and caring get disconnected, that can lead to a subset of other problems and challenges in our life. So again, if you're listening in, just
yeah,
just just challenge yourself. Be curious, but do it with a caring concern for the people or for the reason you're curious. Tie these two together and allow your caring, in a sense, to energize your curiosity. That's what sort of comes to my mind, and I try to practice that in my own life. I think I'm a rather curious person. I ask a lot of questions. I probe. I think sometimes we go out for dinner and you probably get tired of my questions, Bo. I ask lots of questions. And again,
good,
sometimes people think it's for the wrong reasons, but for me, it's because I'm curious and I want to
right.
and I care and I know that I don't know certain things. And the more curious I am, I talk about it in this sense where I like to borrow the wisdom of others because
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. And so the more I ask questions, the more curious I am, the more wise I can become. But if I marry that with a caring concern for the people or for the project that I'm working on, then some really great things can come from that. So I love the complexity of the conversation. And again, if you're listening in, I just ask you to explore these things. So let me ask you, do you think that this curiosity caring blend, when you think about it, Bo, does it is it do you think it's a fundamental game changer? Like, does it change the game, and has it changed the game in the way you've approached your life and the way you've looked at product development and enhancing product and working? Has this blend changed the game, you think, for you?
Uh, well, for me personally, I've always been a little bit on that curiosity for not just the products I've been working with, but for life, for the
Yeah.
Hudson River, for water and wastewater, New York City, and this and that. But I do not think you can change people to become more curious
Interesting.
and caring through promotion or a pay raise.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Uh, I had the pleasure of working for several larger international companies. Our company's been through a lot of different ownerships, but some of these larger international companies, billion-dollar company operating in 100 countries, I noticed they spend more time on the corporate uh, conformance of the management team. Always described to the same Jews, and we like it, and all that sort of thing. Then developing the curiosity and caring for their employees.
Hmm.
So I I think this has changed for the better because of the COVID pandemic and the shortage of qualified people. But it's
Hmm.
clear that in the high tech sector, and you know this, they've been far ahead of most other companies as far as nurturing the curiosity of their employees and developing new product and service. Uh, and I think we can learn a lot from the HR department in these tech companies.
Hmm. Hmm. And that's something I really appreciate, Bo. I think it's really, said again, we can, balancing the curiosity for growing things and enhancing systems and products, as you said. But it's being curious and caring on the people side, which ultimately is a game changer. And it does change when we change the culture of our companies and we make them more human.
Right.
Clearly from all good research, we know that we have more productivity. And you
Right.
mentioned it. You can't grow curiosity. You can't make people more curious by paying them more.
No.
So let me ask you. So if you were going to help me become more curious, if I
Yeah.
was an engineer, and I'm not, but if I came to work for you and you saw something in me and you wanted to grow my muscle of curiosity and care, you wanted to help me become
Yeah.
more curious, is there ways that I can grow that muscle and learn to become more curious and more caring in
Yeah.
as a discipline? And if so, how do I do that?
Right. Uh, Number one, as I just mentioned, it's not, you do not change people, curiosity of caring through promotion
Right.
or raises. However, um, we can follow them, the high tech companies, their HR department, their forward thinking, developing their employee relationship are good starts by listening to the ever changing needs of our employees to change and the changes in our society. And I'm not talking about my company's HR manual, but I believe it has dust on it. Um, so we need to update our relationship, and corporate culture has been too slow. I think United States, Canada might be different in changing that. In the HR manual, uh, let's face it, the number one asset of most companies, Fortune 500 companies, is what? It's not even listed on the balance sheet. It's the employees.
Hmm.
So we know Maslow's pyramid of needs. The lower level is water, food, and we creeped up that Maslow. What really excited our employees 20 years ago doesn't. Hey, 401k. I mean, that's everybody has that. So what's the next thing? 802k. I don't know what it is, but I don't know who's working on this, but they should. I know we have done a few things differently that few people know about, but I think our employees know about it. So more time needs to spend off campus
Hmm.
by the company leaders and management. Develop these partnerships with their employees to stimulate their involvement. What do you think about this lousy company? Well, I don't like the front door squeeze. Get their input and encourage the curiosity for doing things differently.
Hmm.
And there's too few companies asking their employees, where do we go now?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good point. And again, a curious mind looks at things and asks, can it be done differently? How do we do it differently? How do we do it better?
Right.
Curious mind asks better questions. Doesn't always have all the answers. Asks a series of really great questions, and I suppose that's a discipline of the curious, right? The discipline of the curious is to ask the most powerful, provocative question that everybody has in their mind, but no one's willing to speak it out. That's, I suppose, the curious moment and that caring moment. So listen, again, if you're listening in, we're just touching on these ideas of curiosity and caring. Are you curious enough? Are you caring enough? Are you bringing these things together, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, whether you lead a company or you're just a person who leads themselves, so it doesn't matter. I really want you to think deeply about these ideas because I think they're important. And I really do believe that, Bo is a curious person. It's one of the things that has attracted me to you over the years, Bo, as we've talked. I love meeting deeply curious people. There's something about people who have a curiosity to discover. It's almost like in some ways, and I saw this recently. I remember, Bo, I was We got together a couple of months ago. We were sitting together and having a conversation, and you turned your computer monitor to me. I don't know if you remember, and it had a bunch of charts and graphs on it and stuff. Boring things
Yeah.
to most people, but you
Yeah.
turned it to me like a wide-eyed child, and you were like, "Hey, look at this, Tim." And your excitement and passion
Yeah.
for this stuff, Bo, after so long,
Yeah.
it's the spark of you're still curious today, and that's
Oh
what I
yeah.
love about it.
Absolutely.
And yes, you deeply care. There's no doubt about it. But I
Right.
remember when you turned that screen to me,
Yeah.
that the passion on your face as you looked at this chart and said, "Look at this. This is what this means to me, Tim.
Yeah.
This is what I see here." And I'm looking at it thinking, "Man, I don't see that." But that's that
Yeah.
curiosity that you have for
Yeah.
life and exploring
Yeah.
that. And as you move into this and fully possess this new role that you're in, I mean, it's an exciting opportunity. And I love that how you stimulate my curiosity when we talk. I really appreciate that about you. And you are definitely not a commodified person. You're uncommodified. And my podcast is all about this idea of not being a dime a dozen person, standing up and standing out for all the right reasons. So let me ask you, when you're in a room of people, Bo, in the industry,
Yeah.
and you're bringing to that meeting or that conversation the thing that only Bo Andersson can bring, what are you doing when you're at your most unique, uncommodified best? What are you doing that maybe other people aren't doing?
Well, first of all, I, I, I really believe that we're all unique individuals and we
Yeah.
have special qualities. Um, so it's not really the have-nots and nots when it comes to curiosity and that sort of thing. We all can develop that. Uh, Part of the problem here is that some of these special qualities are not recognized uh,
Interesting.
when they should be.
Yeah.
An important quality I see in that room or anywhere is the trustworthiness. Okay,
Mm.
people should be able to count on you. Uh, so when Tim says, "I think I can do that. I will have it by Friday," Tim does it, but he comes in late Thursday night and says, "Hey, I did it early, and I really liked it. I think you're going to like the result." It's a small thing, but when people promise, they do things, study, and it's a small thing, but a lot of people fail.
Mm.
They promise the moon. I could tell you a lot of stories about that. Uh, Number two, I think that be the best salesperson for your talent. Okay,
Mm.
we all have some talent. Be the best salesperson for that talent. Okay, Bo, doing what? Do more what you already are doing and
Mm.
what you like to. Work hard, smart, and eventually somebody will notice you, recognize it.
Mm.
But it always starts with some sustained work, contribution, action, focus, and commitment on your part.
Mm. Mm. Great advice, Bo. And I like this idea. Is yes, we all are unique for sure.
Yeah,
Some of us have given up some of that uniqueness over time. We've learned to conform and fit in. And it's sad to say, but it's true. I think a lot of you uncommodify yourself by being that trustworthy stalwart in the room. We unfortunately many people, and you know in your own experience,
yeah,
overpromise and underdeliver
right,
at many levels. And the idea of being able to deliver on the promises that we make
yeah,
and to deliver well to the commitments we make, whether they're in business or life,
yeah,
is a powerful statement regarding, I guess, in some ways, curiosity and care. Do I care enough to be early? Do I care enough to, or am I curious enough to explore things and do them in advance with rigor? Or sometimes am I not giving my best? I mean, it's a great provocation, because I think a lot of times, people have given into mediocrity. They haven't really challenged themselves, and then we become mediocre. I don't think because we choose to. Sometimes it happens, And so I think you're right. Standing out is about delivering on those commitments and promises. It's about understanding what value. And I love this idea of being the salesman of our best talent. And again, if you're
Right.
listening in, I would challenge you. What is your best talent? What are you greatly talented at? And are you selling that? Are you communicating that with
Right.
passion to others that they believe it's true? Because
Right.
that probably is the most uncommodifying thing that you have to trade on in your
Right.
life that will bring value to others around. So, listen, as we wrap up, Bo, tonight, here's my
Yep.
question to you. If you could challenge our listeners with just one thing around curiosity and caring, if you could just give them one challenge as we finish, what would you want to say to them on this subject? What's your personal challenge to them?
Uh, number one, number one, number one. Most important is obviously the communication skills because curiosity and caring doesn't mean tiddlywit unless you can communicate.
Huh.
So communication skill, being an excellent consultant is the key, and that's what you do best: communicate. Uh, and I loved your podcast the other day about listening. Most
Mm.
people don't listen. You know that. So you have this special column where you check it off. You don't want to interrupt the speaker. So you take a mental note of what you wanted to have asked that person while he keeps on blabbing on. And that's so powerful, I think. And that's the number one respect you can pay anybody is listen. Listen.
Mm.
Okay? So the communications. And number two, learn new stuff.
Mm.
Learn new stuff. What? Dear Henry, it's a hole in the bucket. Fix it. You know the Harabella Fonte song? It goes on and on. Most people are very comfortable where they are in life. 80% of us, we just love going home at night and dinner. But learn something new. Take a different road home.
Mm.
The way you shave, change it. The way you turn on change the radio station. Learn something new. So, and when you do anything worthwhile doing should be done with a sense of urgency, commitment, and completion. And I don't care what it is. You're planting a new rose bed or washing your car or whatever you say you do it and do it in a timely fashion. Yeah. Doing it next year, okay, so what? Well, it becomes a bad habit of delaying everything you do in life. I didn't have enough money. I couldn't go on vacation. They have all these excuses. It just goes on and on. Stay focused. Be the best at your game. Now, whatever that is. And we all are special. We have special quality. You got to figure out what that is, and you got to believe yourself. Believe it or not, most of us are more talented than we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so halfway commitment what will happen? You cheat yourself.
Mm.
Success is directly linked proportion to how strongly you are committed to what you want to do. Okay?
Mm.
Don't blame it on anybody else. Do not forget, it's all about the details. The big picture, what happened to the big picture will fall in. And a lot of people says, oh, that's details. I don't know where shit. When we do our testing, the window is about 3 seconds when we do our test. And what I'm interested in is 0.2 second. That's what all our research in 0.2 second. 10 years ago, it would be very difficult and very expensive to do these tests. So that's our envelope, and we're focusing on that. You will fall. You will fail. Get up quickly, change, and try it again. Harder. Okay? And finally, most important, have a fun time doing it.
Excellent. Bo, great advice. Listen, if you're listening in, that is great sage-like wisdom from a man who has multiple decades of experience in business and in life, and still has passionate curiosity and a powerful, caring, compassionate sense of what he's doing and why he's doing it and how he's doing it. And so hear that as sage-like wisdom and a provocation to you today. And again, do me a favor, as you ruminate on this conversation and chew on it, do me a favor, just connect with me on social media. Send me an email at tim@uncommodified.com. Let Bo and I know how you're uncorking this conversation into your world, becoming more curious, more caring for the sake of others. Thanks for listening and have an excellent day.